I don't understand. Like a month ago, we encouraged people in Iran to go outside to fight for themselves against the regime that you're trying to negotiate with.
And save.
Like, what do you mean Iran wants to make a deal? On behalf of who? The 40,000 people that they just executed in the streets?
The people of Iran are begging Trump not to negotiate.
You have somebody who has their whole life ahead of them that's exhausted. For them, taking their life was literally freeing themselves.
Yeah.
And the message is to you, hey, we're waiting.
Welcome back, everybody, to The Quad here from our Jerusalem studios with my wonderful co-host, Scumbag Fakheri, who is the head of the Persian press desk at the JCFA and an analyst on Iran. Welcome back, Scumbag.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here again.
Well, we're always happy to have you back, especially because every week we seem to be discussing Iran. Will he? Won't he? What's going to happen? Whilst we all hold our breaths, also the Iranian diaspora, also people here in Israel, what will happen? What do the Iranians have to say about these new negotiations? Take a look.
When we talk about the nuclear program only, we put that into consideration. Regarding the zero uranium enrichment, it's outside the talks, outside negotiations. The enrichment is our own right and it will continue. And even if when they attacked us, they couldn't destroy this enrichment because they cannot destroy it through attacking and bombardment. The other hand, regarding the missiles is something that is defensive. We cannot talk about defensive matters, not now and not in the future.
So what exactly can we talk about? We can't talk about enrichment. They can continue enriching. Okay. We can't talk about ballistic missiles because it's their right. So what on earth is going on in the negotiations? What are the American red lines and do they align with our red lines? Scumbag, you are the expert here, apart from Emily, of course. What is your view on what's going on right now with these negotiations?
Okay, so one thing we know and understand about how the Islamic regime works is that they are the masters of propaganda.
Yeah.
They will go outside, they will come to the UN, they will come to negotiations, suited up, real like nice and like, we're ready to talk, we're gonna like have this like communication with the West.
Diplomatic reason.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you see like in Tehran, you see like in the plaza, in the like the square, you see them keeping like this war and threatening Israel and threatening like, why do you care? Like you have negotiations with America. Well, like every time Israel is like the place they want like to put attention on. And it's always like, no, they didn't destroy anything and we're so strong and we're this and we're that. And like,
they try to
wake up.
They try
like,
to spin it.
Your people, like the people in Iran, are refusing to acknowledging the fact that the West is gonna like come to an arrangement with and I'm like, so I don't understand it, and it's all propaganda, and nobody actually knows what's gonna happen after that. If they're gonna come to a conclusion, if there's gonna be a peace, like ceasefire or anything in that matter, or we should wait and just have a look on the situation of the citizens, because I don't understand. Like a month ago, we encouraged people in Iran to go outside to fight for themselves against the regime that you're trying to like negotiate with.
And save, essentially. Let me ask you one question, because I've read this, I've seen it, and I want to know if it's true. Is it true that there's cracks at the moment in the IRGC, that people are defecting, that people are leaving? Do you think that's true, or is it just wishful thinking on our part?
No, I think it's happening. Maybe we don't talk about it that much, and maybe the regime is trying like to silence it out, and for sure they're trying to. But we have a diplomat that says, I'm not working with them anymore, and he asked for shelter in Switzerland. So I'm like, so there's so many things happening. I'm like, you know, and people are fleeing Iran and trying to move assets and like money and everything to other parts of the world and try to save themselves. I think there's this paranoia that is very justified.
From the regime?
Yeah, for the regime people, yeah. Like they are afraid that the West is gonna like come in and like the regime is gonna fall. I think that what I said, propaganda is like they show something outside, and inside I think like it's getting really crumbled. And
I hope so. Emily, last night there's reports that there were more demonstrations, or in the last few days there's been kind of a resurgence, maybe again. Maybe that's just us. Do you think that Trump's tactic at the moment is waiting to push people to do more, to have more defections, to get the Iranian people to do the work that he doesn't want to do because he doesn't want troops on the ground, or to show them that they've got something to replace their regime with? I think what I keep hearing from the people that I know in the White House is, well, he doesn't think that they can be replaced smoothly. It's not going to be an easy thing. And so do you think that Trump's game is, let's just wait and wait, because he talks about waiting. Let's see how much more of the dirty work the Iranian people can do against their own regime, and then we'll come in at the end to kind of finish the job?
I don't think that has anything to do with it, actually. I think that Trump is in his own world where he wants to make a deal and be able to say that he made a deal, or it could be that the whole thing is posturing, the same way that we saw before the 12th Day War in June. We saw very similar behavior. We see more and more and more assets being moved to the Middle East every single day from the United States. So there's by no means is a strike off the table. I don't think that Trump wants or expects the Iranian people to do more. And if he did, then he's seriously delusional, because, I mean, having 20, 30, 40,000 people be massacred by their own regime in the span of a few days, immediately after the president of the United States send a message saying help is on its way, like, you've done enough, and not in a good way, not yet, at least. I hope that he does. I hope that he moves forward with something for the sake of the Iranian people. But I mean, what we've seen already is catastrophic. And you're exactly right about the propaganda. I mean, if there's one war they know how to win, it's the war of narratives, despite the fact that it could be completely false. But they're good at painting those narratives in the West. The funny part is that the Iranians don't believe it.
They don't buy it.
But in the West, people keep believing it, because to most of us in the West, it sounds very conspiratorial. But that's the reality of this regime. I mean, we're talking about a regime that blew up Cinema Rex, that shot down a commercial airliner, PS-752, all in order to frame someone else unsuccessfully. So this is what they do, you know? We can't expect that to change. And that's part of the reason I don't think we can see any kind of actual reform. It has to actually be regime change.
No, a scorpion will always be a scorpion, and that's what I think people don't seem to understand. It's like Hamas. What are you going to do? They're going to disarm, really? It's their whole raison d'etre. That's why they exist. It's the same with this regime. But meanwhile, Trump is telling the world that they have all the time to negotiate. Watch this.
A deal doesn't look like it's been reached yet. How long are you willing to wait?
A deal can be reached. Well, you have to get in position. We have plenty of time. If you remember Venezuela, we waited around for a while, and we're in no rush. We have, very good talks going with Iran. We have very good talks going with Russia and Ukraine. We're doing a lot of good talking, and I think we had the results today were with Iran. It was a meeting. We're going to meet again early next week. And they want to make a deal, Iran, as they should want to make a deal. They know the consequences if they don't.
I mean, no nuclear weapons. Yeah, I mean, why not? Yeah. Forget the ballistic missiles that could destroy a country. And meanwhile...
I'm sorry, I just have to say, even negotiating with this regime, and he keeps referring, Iran wants this, Iran wants that. First of all, they're not the legitimate representation of Iranians. They're not. It's an illegitimate regime. So,
like Maduro.
Personally, I'm biased, but personally, I have a problem with him even saying Iran, because they don't speak for the Iranian people. Like, what do you mean Iran wants to make a deal? On behalf of who? The 40,000 people that they just executed in the streets?
Exactly.
Like, even the message of negotiations is an immoral message at this time. Like, I don't understand what he thinks he's doing when Iran, when the Islamic Republic has been very clear.
The only thing I can think of is that he's waiting, he's biding time to get everything here.
He said get into position.
The region. But meanwhile, like you said, Sugan, the people of Iran are begging Trump not to negotiate. Watch this.
If you're watching this, then I'm not around anymore. If you don't know, I'm from Iran. And a massacre happened in the past few weeks. by our government, which is more like a bandit group. More than 40,000 people died, killed, massacred. I want to make this video to send a message to America and to the West in general. Tomorrow, on Friday, President Trump is going to make a deal with this regime. I mean, he told us to keep protesting, and we did it. We trust him. To make a deal with this regime is to betray all those people who died.
Exactly.
It's just heartbreaking. Bellamy, is the West not getting it? Or does Trump playing a game? What do you think?
I genuinely don't think the West is getting it. And we've seen a lot of dead bodies in the past few months from what people have been posting, but this video has been haunting me.
Why?
And specifically, his messaging went to a point about he was done. It was enough.
Did he commit
He has gone through
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Yeah.
Stop.
Shortly after
So this was literally his call out to say, like, I'm leaving, but you need to do something. You told the people to go out onto the streets. They did. They opened the door to what you should be doing right now. And the fact that it's not just Trump, it's not just an administration, it's the people in the West that are so silent about what's actually going on. For 2 years, and over 2 years, all we have heard about are children in Gaza, and we are committing a genocide and we're doing this. But when you actually have an actual genocide that's currently going on, that has been going on for 47 years against their own people, behind a curtain, behind a wall, and you have somebody who has their whole life ahead of them that's exhausted, that's done enough, that for them taking their life was literally freeing themselves. And the message is to you, hey, we're waiting.
Yeah.
He wasn't waiting anymore.
It's tragic. I can't, and it's all, the thing is that it's the young people of Iran.
Yep.
They're the ones who are on the front lines of this war, and they're the ones that people in the West are ignoring because the enemy is the wrong enemy for the sensibilities and the paradigm that the young people around the world have made for themselves, the lie and the zombie ideology that they live in. It's just, it's just, it's almost like, we had this Gaza war, we had these 2 years, and now God knows how long this is going to last. It's like a tale of two wars, and nobody's connecting the dots of these two wars who have the same enemy, because, of course, it's the wrong enemy for these zombies in the West. Before we jump in, a quick invitation. The 2026 JNS International Policy Summit is coming up this April 15th through to the 17th, once again at the Waldorf Astoria in Jerusalem. I'll be there, and I really hope you'll join us too. You can visit jns-summit.org to register and to see the speaker lineup. It's an exceptional group this year. I look forward to meeting you in Jerusalem this April. And on that note, we can talk about phase 2 in Gaza, which again, people are completely blind about the fact that Hamas, the terror organization that uses its own children as human shields, is not disarming. And yet we're being pushed into this second phase. And God knows what's going to happen. The Board of Peace, I think, convened this week or a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
The
I don't know the exact date, but yeah.
Peace.
We don't know who's on it. We don't know what's on it. We just know what their agenda is
And
when
of
it started, I think.
Just the way that everybody's ignoring the foreign minister of the Islamic Republic when he's saying, we're not going to give up uranium, and we're not going to give up this, and we're not going to give up that. In other words, we have nothing to negotiate. Listen to Khaled Mashal about the resistance.
هذا ينبغي ألا نقبله لأنه هذا إذا أعد السؤال الكبير عن أصل الصراع وأنه قضية احتلال وشعب يقاوم الاحتلال ومن حق تقرير المصير والاستقلال، عند ذلك سؤال المقاومة يصبح طبيعيا، وسؤال سلاح المقاومة يصبح طبيعيا. إنه هذا فلسفة المقاومة. نحن طالما هناك احتلال هناك مقاومة. المقاومة حق للشعوب تحت الاحتلال، هي جزء من القانون الدولي والشرائع السماوية.
You love his eyeliner.
Okay, first of all, shocker. He's in that disgusting Al Jazeera forum. Where was it? In Doha, of course.
Of course.
Where else is going to be in the Viper's Den? He's basically completely unrepentant. He's the only one left, really, with a name recognition.
Yeah. Why is he even breathing?
Why is he even
Why is he talking?
there? I mean, this guy is a mass murderer. I mean, we should
And a billionaire.
and a billionaire. That's why he's living in a 7-star hotel in Doha. And there he is, whilst Hamas, who apparently have still got a very strong foothold in Gaza, unfortunately, are using ambulances to smuggle weapons. So, I mean, look, we've been here before, right? This is not new. They've used ambulances before. They've used medics before. I love it when all these idiots on X are like, they've killed 400 doctors, all terrorists. They've killed 300 journalists, all terrorists. You know, what else? Anything else? Actors and dancers and violinists, all...
They're all.
Well, most of them were actors. When you act as a journalist, you're an actor. It's a really good one, let me tell you that.
You should know, Zoran.
Listen.
So I forgot to say, Zoran is star of the Tehran series. Watch her there.
Yeah. So as someone who, because of my job, like in Tehran, I was like really trying to understand how Islam works. And it works like this, that you can say anything you want. You can have any mask on just to keep the ideology of Islam going.
Takia, they call it, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is like, they don't care. It could be a hospital, it could be an ambulance, and you don't see it only in Gaza. And I'm sorry for taking it back to Iran, but
No, you're right.
Like it happened in Gaza like a year ago, let's say. In Iran, it happened like a week ago.
What happened?
That they entered hospitals, shooting people in their beds and killing them.
They also were documented using ambulances, unmarked ambulances to
The ambulance, like
the protests.
the Basij are hiding inside the ambulances.
Same
and it's
playbook.
like
Same
it's
playbook.
crazy, and it's the same thing. And the people who don't see that this person is calling for a weaponized resistance. I mean, okay, tomorrow, let me tell you that in the future, if you're letting like this happen and people are supporting this, tomorrow it will happen in New York.
Exactly.
It will happen in New York.
It's guerrilla tactics 101, which so many people know absolutely nothing about. But when you also I come from a country that was trained to do things like that by the exact same people that live off of that ideology. So to me, when I speak to a Westerner and they're like, there's no such thing as tequila. What do you mean? They're lying. I'm going, what are you talking about? You're too busy watching Real Housewives of something and you think that's more entertaining and that's more educational, brain rot, than to actually listen to people that are telling you that there's something that is very off that's going on. It's not a conspiracy. People are literally in sleeper cells, even in the West, and they have no clue who's around them. But no, it's Islamophobia. No.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed that the way that I mean, obviously it was in Arabic, but the way that he described about resistance is something that we've heard a lot of in the past couple of years, even before that, but especially in the last couple of years, this concept that you have a right to resistance when you're an occupied people. There is no basis in any international law for this argument. You are never permitted under any circumstances to attack or kill civilians because you are occupied. That doesn't exist. It's a fantastical notion that keeps getting repeated by people like Francesca Albanese and people like Khalid Mashal, incidentally, both of them at the same conference, Al Jazeera. And it's not true. It's simply not true. There is no right. That's not how international law works, even if you're occupied, and even if that occupation is illegal, which, by the way, this isn't, I would argue, but there is a debate over, whether an occupation is illegal or legal, also in this conflict. But the idea that gives someone a right to violence is insane. Otherwise, you would see people in Cyprus blowing people up all the time. That's not how it works.
But that's what Bellamy said. What message are you now giving to the world, to terrorists all around the world, when you say, look, you can start a war, you can massacre, you can rape, you can kill, you can kidnap. And then at the end of it, the person who started it, who obviously lost the war, can still rearm or can still keep their arms. Like you say, Sagan, what is the message that you're giving? And Emily, you forgot one thing. you're never illegal on stolen land. Like Billie Eilish, Billie Chachmalog, as we say in Hebrew, she's such an intelligent woman that she made that really bold statement at the Grammys that now the tribe of the place in Malibu where she owns her $14 million house are claiming it back.
Yeah.
You idiot. You idiot. I can't with these people.
It's the same thing because it's constant virtue signaling. Because I remember a few years back when, everybody, especially during COVID, this was when people are on Skid Row hungry, not like people aren't in mental hospitals and institutions and being taken care of because they were using those for undocumented, I'm supposed to say, you're an illegal alien. You're, and I can say that.
Well, you can say, but you went through the whole process.
I went through the whole process
of being a legal immigrant of the United States.
From student visa to work visa to EB1 green card to citizenship naturalized. And what upsets me more than anything else is the fact that since I was 17 years old when I landed in the US, I'm a guest. Until I swear and take my oath, I'm a guest. And I also pay taxes. So quite frankly, I don't care for somebody to be kept in a mental institution. And then you have these celebrities going, but we should just open the doors. And then what did they do years ago? They put them in buses and sent them to Martha's Vineyard. Apparently, you can welcome everybody. Open your door, just not mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
NIMBY, as we say, not in my backyard. And that is the hypocrisy of the progressives. And I just had to get that Billie Eilish thing on because I just love
Listen, I love her.
sued.
I love
No,
Billie.
that
When I was young,
Of course.
she was amazing. She was so bold. She was like going against everything in the industry.
Yes, the
And it was
patriarchy.
so good.
And
Until bro, you were homeschooled and I'm pro homeschooling when it's matching you.
Until you
but
have your own
probably
children.
you didn't learn history or anything else. And let me tell you that one thing. And I'm not I grew up in a Muslim state. Iran is like the Islamic state and country, and people are sick of it, okay? But let me tell you, I'm into any religion as long as you're good, as long as you don't interfere in my life. But let me tell you, Muhammad, when he did the hijrah, when he moved from Mecca to Medina, he killed anyone who wasn't going to believe in whatever he believed.
especially the Jews, who wouldn't accept.
The tribes there.
He wouldn't accept the words, and that got murdered and massacred.
Yeah,
But this is Mamdani's argument for anti-ICE executive orders.
yeah,
All of his
but he didn't.
policy.
Yeah,
What is it?
That's what he said in his press conference. He literally said
that he was an immigrant. He was an immigrant.
that his reason for this was because in Islam, the story of Muhammad teaches us about the hijrah, and the hijrah was to welcome the stranger.
Yes.
Exactly.
Except that you got massacred.
About that.
With the sword, they massacred so many.
Yeah.
And Mandani is the same type of new age moron, whatever you call it, as Billie Eilish, but even worse because he knows exactly what he's doing. And meanwhile, 15 people got frozen to death on the streets of New York because as mayor, you have one job, to keep your people safe. And you were too busy meddling in international politics that you know nothing about or have absolutely no legitimacy to talk about, and you let your own people die during a storm, one of the worst storms that happened to New York. So that's that. Okay, moving on to our very favorite segment, Scumbag of the Week. We have so many scumbags, so little time. Bellamy, which one is yours this week?
Mine is not just the African National Congress, not just the government that is South Africa, but specifically Minister Sindisiwe Chikunga, who spoke at the 47th commemoration of the IRGC in South Africa.
Oh, they had a party?
Yes,
Yeah,
on
no,
February 6th at the Menlyn Hotel in Pretoria. And funny enough, it's always in Pretoria, the same place where during apartheid, they would take you as a political prisoner and throw you off the roof.
Oh,
So funny how that goes, because I think we have a neighbor that loves to throw people off the roof, but it's so disgusting when I say to people constantly, you don't understand what a massive red flag South Africa is. No, well, what did they do? But there's Nelson Mandela, but you should feel it in a different way. Yes, but I grew up in something that I don't understand how I ran away from it. I think there's something wrong with me because I should be chanting in the street that I'm not free until Palestine is free. And I quite frankly should be agreeing with the regime. What's wrong with me?
There's a lot wrong with you. I mean,
Just not that.
apparently. You stepped out of the line of your South Africa education and became a Jew. Yeah. I mean, just for that, you should be...
They should be stoned to death.
Exactly. Anyway.
I find it repulsive as well that there are children that are in the streets believing the same kind of indoctrination at the southern tip of a continent that has nothing to do with the Middle East.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh dear. Well, so many. I love you're bringing in the South African angle, and it's important because they're such enablers legally and in so many other forums, and they've become really the capital of these evil bastards. That's what's happened to South Africa. Emily, who's your scumbag this week?
Well, my scumbag, I was going to do the whole Al Jazeera forum, but I guess I'll hone in on one person specifically.
It's always
hard
better.
because there were so many scumbags.
Story of one.
Al Jazeera itself is a scumbag.
Yes.
I mean, how can I choose?
Yes.
But anyway, this week was the Al Jazeera media conference held in Doha, and we saw, as I mentioned earlier, Francesca Albanese and also Khaled Mashal and also IRGC, the foreign minister of the Islamic Republic. So it's just a whole group of winners. I think we have a clip of Francesca, if we can play that.
Instead of stopping Israel, most of the world has armed, given it political excuses, political sheltering, economic and financial support. We now see that we, as a humanity, have a common enemy.
We have a common enemy. I wonder who she's referring to when she talks about a common enemy the same way Adolf Hitler did. But that's tended to be expected from Francesca Albanese because that's how she talks. That's what she's done. That's her track record, and that's what she truly believes. We saw just not too long ago, she was retweeting people saying that Jews were evil incarnate.
Yes.
Israel. Israel is evil incarnate, not Jews, right? Anyway, that's Francesca. You're my scumbag of the week. Many other weeks as well, but this week in particular, you deserve it.
She joined the flotilla.
She should.
Probably will.
And we could sink it. That would be a savor to the world. Like super crazy.
Nazi rhetoric.
Nazi rhetoric. Well, you know, maybe her grandfather was Mussolini. I'm beginning to think.
I mean, she sounds like it.
She really does. And look how he ended up. Naked on the streets of Italy, being dragged and everybody shouting shame. So we can only dream. Okay. Sogan. Who is
I was
your...
waiting for that. Listen, last time I enjoyed it so much. I was like going directly to Khamenei, but okay. This time my scumbag has a chance to redeem themselves.
Really?
That's like, I'm so...
redeemable scumbag.
Yeah, I'm into like forgiving people, some people. So exactly 1 month ago, today is February 9th. January 9th, the people of Iran were outside in the streets fighting for future.
Yeah.
The US said they're gonna come, okay, whatever. But okay, let's say they're coming. Who should protect the people inside Iran? The Artesh. The Artesh is the National Army of Iran.
Artesh?
Artesh.
We don't hear that enough.
We don't hear that because Iran has 2 guards. Like they have the IRGC.
That protects the regime?
Yeah, no, but it's like it functions as an army.
Okay.
They have everything, Air Force, Navy, like everything like you have, and the Quds and Basij, we all know about that. Yeah. And we have Artesh, which also has like the commando forces, the Navy, the Air Force, and their responsibility is to stand with the people of Iran. When your brothers and sisters, your families are getting massacred in the streets, you are not like under Khamenei. You're with the people. You're with the people. You should defend your people and go and fight with them. And your guns should point the regime and the Basij and the whatever like oppressing forces they used, and not towards people. And let me just, I don't know if you watched it, but like previous days, like just a few days before the protests, you saw people of the Artesh holding like signs, like lighting up Khamenei's picture. So where are you? And I know like some of them wanted, like they didn't want to cooperate with like the oppressing corps. But like, where are you? Like, you're so many people.
So are they armed? Are they
Yes.
resourced?
Yes,
Are
yes.
they
They're
forced?
they're functioning.
So what
army.
you're saying is they are scared, I assume, of the IRGC.
Listen,
It's like, you know what it's like, the Lebanese army and Hezbollah. Like, you never know where one ends and the other one begins. Is it like that with the Artesh?
no.
They're a separate force.
Two separate, like,
Okay.
yeah, organizations. Let's
So
say.
you're like, where the hell are they?
Where are you?
That's a good
and
point.
I just want to say, you have like, maybe you don't have the trust of the people anymore, but you can gain it back. You can win the trust again. Just stand with the people and defend them when they're trying to protest and fight for their lives and for your lives.
Exactly.
Because you are the trash of the armies in Iran. So,
Oh my God, some shade on the Artesh. Well, first of all, thank you for educating us. I did not understand that there was a separate kind of people's army that is absolutely not doing much.
Yeah.
I understood that many people were defecting.
it's the national, but you know.
Yeah, but I also didn't understand also what powers they have as opposed to the IRGC. I didn't realize it was a separate kind of
Well, the
jurisdiction.
IRGC also, that's why it's not the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, it's the Islamic Revolutionary
So
Guard.
they're fighting for Islamic
Exactly.
jihad fundamentalism,
Yeah.
and the People's Army are doing nothing because they're probably scared.
By the way, this is another reason why IRGC designation is not a problem. For so many years, they've used this as an excuse, claiming, oh, well, we don't know because it's a national army and it's a state actor. Yes, you do. It's totally fine. And as it is, terror designation exempts people who are mandatory, like if they're drafted, which sometimes people are drafted into the IRGC. So it's already exempted. All the excuses for the lack of designation
Well,
nonsense.
that segues beautifully into my scumbag of the week, which is the EU, but not for the reasons you might think. But let's just say that better late than never, I think it was a week, 2 weeks ago, they finally prescribed the IRGC as a terrorist organization. Like, little late to the party, but better late than never. Okay, but the reason they are my scumbag this week is because Scott Bessent, for those of you who don't know, is the Treasury Secretary of the US, okay? He's basically the guy in charge of money. He's brilliant, actually, if you get a chance to look him up. He's so morally clear, so smart. He doesn't get emotional about anything, and people say such idiotic things at him, and he just like breaks down the arguments one by one. And he's doing a great job as a Treasury Secretary of the United States. But this week, he actually made quite an explosive claim that makes the EU my scumbag. And basically, he uncovered that the EU has been buying refined oil from India that Russia is selling to India. So hold on with me here. The EU have sanctioned Russia because of its aggressive war against Ukraine. The EU pretends it's on the side of Ukraine. Let's get more money to help the people of Ukraine who've been attacked by big, bad Russia. And at the same time, because they're worried about their energy resources, they have been buying sanctioned oil from Russia, but through India. So I guess it makes it okay. And so what Scott Bessent is saying is that Europe, the EU, is funding the war against itself because the EU is standing and helping and financing Ukraine, and yet they're also financing the other side. And that's how morally bankrupt they are, which we knew because of the way that they've been treating us over many years. It's a shame because we are an important trade partner. Israel and the EU are important trade partners. But when it comes to moral clarity or reasoning, I don't know what's happened to the EU, but I really applaud Scott Bessent for basically opening our eyes to what's really going on in the Ukraine-Russia war. And that is that essentially both sides are financing both sides of this war, which means that ending this, and maybe Trump, who people don't give him enough credit for the trade tariffs that he's putting, maybe there is a logic to the things that he's doing in terms of tariffs. But yes, the EU, for this very reason, you are my scumbag this week. Okay.
You know, they could avoid all that together if they just supported regime change in Iran and built a new Iran where they could have a better energy deal. And then they don't have to work with Russia anymore. But that would be like logical.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. We'll have to see.
They could
We'll have to see.
I mean,
go that direction.
The thing about Iran is that with all of its incredible resources in crude oil, they don't really have refining capabilities. The EU could be that refining capability arm. And like you say, and not have to deal with other despots in Europe.
It would be a big middle finger to China and Russia both, which is both things I love.
Why don't you just let the Quad women run the world?
Yes.
And I could put my hand on fire that the result would be better. Just saying. Just saying. Okay. And on that note, heroes of the week. Sagan, let's start with your hero.
Okay, so as we talked, the internet came back in Iran, and we have seen like so many videos in the media, like it never ends, like so many evidence. Like this guy is Hamid Mahdavi, and he was a firefighter, and he was protesting during the protests, and he saw this man injured. I couldn't find his name. He came back, got him like on his back, tried to save him. He managed to save him, but he got shot.
Oh,
he got killed.
God.
And
He got shot the moment that he was saving this other person.
maybe after like after this video or
Right.
something. Yeah.
Oh.
So the thing is that I found his Instagram, and I just want to read you his bio because it was like such a great bio. He made me cry actually. So his bio actually says being a firefighter is not just putting down fires. It's like having your family calm down, like trying to be a family man, trying to be like a good person, stuff, like saying like all the things. And then he said, but you don't have like time for yourself. And this is an example of a person who put everything at risk, his family, his life, and he saved the person trying to save his nation. And it's just one example of who are the Iranian people. And this is a great video, a great example. And as we see videos of Basij guys who get like attacked by the protesters, they run away. They don't care about their team fellows or the crew or team or whatever. But those people who don't know each other, they have each other's backs. And it's one of the most like moving, touching videos I've seen. And it's just
so sad.
Just a
because they're standing for freedom, and these people are standing to what? To keep a murderous regime in place? They should all run away like rats. Well, that is a wonderful, wonderful hero. It's a hero that gave up his life to save other people. Well,
let's not forget that.
Yes, let's never forget that, and we will keep talking about that here. Emily, who's your hero this week?
So my hero is the direct response to a prior scumbag, a repeat offender. Tucker Carlson.
Repeat offender.
So this week we saw that Tucker Carlson had a whole special about how awful it is for Christians in Israel, which is of course ridiculous because this is the one country in the Middle East where the Christian population is actually growing, the one where they're actually protected and their rights to practice their religion are not only protected under law, but defended as well in practice. So it's ridiculous to be singling out persecution of Christians in Israel in the first place. But Tucker Carlson has an agenda, obviously. And so that brings us to my hero this week, which is the U.S. Ambassador, Mike Huckabee. He's done a lot of great things. I'm a big fan, but he called out Tucker Carlson very forcefully on social media and invited him to speak with Ambassador Huckabee himself directly about the status of Christians in Israel. As we know, Ambassador Huckabee is a big Christian Zionist, but Christian as well. And he is going to be speaking to Tucker Carlson, allegedly, about the situation of Christians in the Middle East. We'll see if Tucker actually moves forward with that interview. I hope he does, because I'm sure that Huckabee will really give it to him. But yes, Ambassador Huckabee, you're my hero this week for calling him out on this and for being the person to be willing to sit face to face and debunk this absolute nonsense that we keep hearing from Tucker Carlson. Or should I say Tucker Carlson?
Carlson. It's so true. He's such a great guy. He lives in Jerusalem, of course, because since the embassy moved in he comes everywhere. I see him everywhere. He's part of life here.
Yeah.
And he's just so morally clear. And just to follow up on your point, and I'm sure that Huckabee is going to do a fantastic job against. I can't wait to see that, by the way. I mean, I want
one episode I'll watch.
Yes, I want to make T-shirts and do like a, how do they call it, a showing?
Watch party.
A launch party. Yeah, I'm going to do a launch party at my house. But just to refine your point, we had here the apostate prophet, and when we were talking about this subject, he said, you know, there's a list of in the world where Christians are persecuted. Of course, we're not even on the list.
Yeah.
Why would we be? You thrive here as a Christian. North Korea, Somalia, Yemen, Libya, Eritrea, Nigeria, Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan, Sudan, India. No Israel. And so, yes, that hypocrisy of Tucker Carlson. I would have made him my scumbag, but I'm tired of giving this hater more attention because
You mentioned the Board of Peace.
Yeah, exactly. I was looking at Bellamy. I was like, yeah, there. No.
Bellaby, you're right. Okay, who's your hero, dear?
For somebody that's so sick and tired of virtue signaling in Hollywood, my hero this week is Gaza Feldstein, whose real name is Mike Levy, and he got a Grammy. And this is actually how you should receive an award because you're an artist. Take a look at this.
God, there he is. Thank God.
Who's this?
That's Gaza Feldstein.
Is he wearing a mask?
Yeah, that's his shtick.
What does he make?
He's a music producer and a DJ.
Like nobody ever.
But no one knows what he looks like?
No,
No, you know. His name is Mike Levy.
it's a 40-year-old French Jewish guy, Zionist, and keeps his mouth shut.
Cute.
That's it.
Yes.
Sometimes that's enough.
Shut up. Shut up.
And he DJs around the world, and he's also a very well-known producer. He produced Lady Gaga's Abracadabra.
Yeah.
So that for me was a great way to send a very clear message. But knowing who Hollywood is, everybody kept saying it's National Black History Month. Well, he's in blackface? No, he's not in blackface. What did you call Sia? Hairface? It's then that's going back and forth. He's literally just wearing a mask because his job is to produce music. So you gave him an award. He didn't say anything. He received it and he left. And there's a problem with that, apparently.
Of course, there's a problem with that because he didn't say something completely moronic about a conflict they know nothing about. Well, I'd never heard of him, but now I will certainly look him up, and I'm very curious to know what he actually looks like. Okay, my heroes this week are the Israeli bobsled team at the Winter Olympics who call themselves Shul Ruddings. For those of you who haven't seen, just watch this.
Honey, prophets, kings, ancient olive trees, and psalms the cantor sings. Home of David, Moses, desert sand. No bobsled run from Haifa to the Dan. We cross the Red Sea, beat Pharaoh's banner, lips a license, no. Aki, yes we can. Show runnings, we're flying down the track. Whoa. Show runnings, ain't no holding us back. Whoa. Tel Aviv to Milano, ice beneath the sled. Pray a little faster.
So I have to say the head of this team, the captain, is a really lovely guy called AJ Edelman, who I met a number of years ago. And a number of years ago, he had this vision. He got no support from Israel, from the Culture and Sports Ministry, no funding. He went, they thought he was nuts. It's like that movie Cool Runnings. They thought he was nuts, like Israeli bobsled team. He went, he had this vision. He recruited an incredible group of athletes, including a Druze athlete, I think one of the first to go to
The first Olympian.
The first Druze Olympian coming from Israel. Look how proud we have to be. And he set up this whole team. He raised the money himself. He slept on people's couches for years because he had this dream of creating this team. When I met him, it was way before October 7th. I thought, this guy's crazy, but he could actually, the crazy could really win. And I'm just so proud to see them there, and they've been through so much adversity. They were booed on the day that they came out. Then their hotel room was burgled. They stole all their things, their money, their passports, and equipment. They came up with the coolest bobsled. He must have gotten some really cool artists to do this. And we, the whole country, and I think the whole Jewish world, is really behind the Israeli bobsled team led by my friend AJ Edelman, a true visionary. And I really can't wait to see them winning. So they are my heroes this week. And this is how we do offense. Defense is crying about people attacking us. Offense is saying, you know what, you're going to boo us, you're going to steal from us. You know what our response is? We're going to win. That is what we need all to be doing, and not, leaning into like, oh, poor us, feel sorry for us. And on that note, I say goodbye with my friends here until another week, and we pray for the liberation of the people of Iran. We pray for regional peace, whatever that means. We pray for quiet, and we look forward to seeing you next week.